Hello, everyone. I'm your storyteller, here to guide you into the night. Before we begin, if you enjoy these journeys into the unknown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Also, tell me, where are you tuning in from, and what time is it where you are right now? All right, get comfortable. Close your eyes if you like, and let's begin. It was well past midnight. I was alone, driving down a narrow, rough road winding through the countryside. My headlights carved tunnels of light through the thick darkness. On either side, endless fields stretched out, swallowed by the night. Above me, the sky was a void, no stars, no moon, just a heavy, smothering blackness. I'd been driving for hours. My eyes burned with exhaustion, and the idea of home felt more like a memory than a destination. Still, I pressed on. I didn't want to think about how alone I truly was out there, how far I was from anything or anyone. And then something caught my eye. There, just ahead, a figure, crouched low on the side of the road near a clump of weeds. At first I thought it was an animal, some stray dog perhaps. But its eyes, they glinted unnaturally in my headlights, two piercing, shining points. I slowed instinctively, heart thudding. It didn't move like an animal. It was too upright, too still. As I got closer, I realized it was shaped like a person. Panic flared in me. I swerved hard, yanking the wheel left. The tires skidded over loose gravel, the back end fishtailing wildly. For a terrifying second, I thought I'd lose control completely. But somehow, the car jerked to a stop, half spun around, headlights now glaring out across the empty field. My chest heaved with shallow breaths. I forced myself to look back, but the figure was gone from my rearview mirror. Or was it hiding just out of sight? I hesitated. The front of my car had scraped something. Maybe it was fine, but what if it wasn't? I didn't want to step out into the darkness, but staying inside the car, blind and vulnerable, felt worse. Grimacing, I pulled the parking brake and climbed out. The night was bitter cold. The air smelled of damp earth and wet grass. Every sound was swallowed by the heavy silence. No insects, no rustling, just the faint ticking of my cooling engine. I walked around to the front of my car, shining a small flashlight I kept in the glove compartment. The engine grumbled quietly, idling rough but steady. Nothing looked seriously wrong. Belts, radiator, hoses all seemed intact. Still, the unease gnawed at me. I turned to glance back down the road, and there it was. The figure, standing now, not crouched, farther away than before, but unmistakably there. Its eyes still gleamed faintly. But where was the light coming from now? The headlights were pointed the other way, and yet those twin points glowed softly, like distant coals. I tried to focus, raising a hand to block the glare, but the figure stayed hidden in the deeper shadows. It didn't move, not while I was looking, but every time I glanced away, even for just a second, and looked back, it was closer, subtly, almost imperceptibly. The first time, it was 30 yards off, then 20, then 15. It never walked. It never made a sound. It simply was closer each time I looked back. I tightened my grip on the flashlight, its beam trembling slightly in my hand. I told myself it was just the adrenaline, just the cold. But deep down, I knew better. There was something wrong with this place, something unnatural about the way the figure moved, or rather, the way it didn't move. I backed slowly toward the car, never taking my eyes off it. Each time I blinked, it seemed a little closer, not rushing, not lunging, just arriving. I could see more details now. Its shape was too thin, too stretched. Its arms hung a little too long at its sides. Its head tilted just slightly, as if studying me. I slid behind the wheel and locked the doors with a loud clunk. The sound seemed to echo strangely in the empty night. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, and forced myself to breathe evenly. Okay. Think. Stay calm. I shifted the car into reverse, glancing quickly at the mirrors. Empty. Nothing behind me but dust and darkness. When I looked back through the windshield, the figure was gone. Gone! I scanned frantically, heart pounding so hard it made my ears ring. The fields were empty, only my headlights and the endless night. Maybe it had been a trick of the light. Maybe exhaustion was getting to me. Maybe something hit the rear window, a soft, dull thump. I jerked around, hands fumbling for the gear shift. Nothing there. Just the faint outline of the empty road stretching behind me. The thump came again, this time from the passenger side. I locked my eyes forward and floored the gas. The tires spat gravel as the car lurched forward down the dirt road, engine roaring louder than it should have in the cold, silent night. The road twisted and bucked under my tires. Branches clawed at the sides of the car like grasping hands. I didn't care. I just needed to get away. The speedometer climbed, 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. The fields blurred past. Still, the uneasy feeling clung to me, like something unseen was riding just behind me, or beside me. I risked a glance at the rearview mirror and froze. There, reflected in the glass, a figure, seated calmly in the back seat. Its eyes, those same glowing points of light, closer than ever. My blood turned to ice. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. For a moment, the car swerved dangerously close to the ditch. I fought the wheel, barely keeping it on the road. When I looked back again, the figure was gone. No trace, no shadow, no whisper of movement. Just me and the endless road. I drove like that for what felt like hours, refusing to look anywhere but straight ahead, afraid of what might be waiting if I did. Eventually, lights appeared on the horizon, faint and distant, but unmistakably there. Civilization. I didn't dare stop until I reached the first gas station I found, its flickering neon sign like a lighthouse in a black sea. I sat in the parking lot, hands trembling, engine idling. I told myself I was safe now, but even as I stared at the bright lights in the shabby little building, I could feel it. Somewhere out there in the darkness, it was still watching me, waiting. The gas station looked deserted. One flickering light buzzed above the door. A couple of dusty cars sat abandoned by the pumps. I pulled up close, engine still running, and just sat there for a moment. The normal thing to do would be to go inside, buy a coffee, ask for directions. Something normal, something human. But something deep inside me whispered, "Stay in the car." The building's windows were covered in grime. Behind the glass, the store looked dim and empty. No sign of a clerk, no movement. I told myself I was being ridiculous. I turned off the engine. The sudden silence was deafening. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door and stepped out. The cold hit me immediately, sharper now, like needles in my skin. As I approached the entrance, the door creaked open on its own. A bell above it gave a weak, half-hearted ding. I stepped inside. The fluorescent lights inside flickered sporadically, casting long, broken shadows across the aisles. Shelves stood half empty. The coolers hummed loudly, struggling to keep things cold. A faint smell of mildew hung in the air. I walked slowly toward the counter. There was no one there. "Hello?" I called out, voice sounding too loud in the empty store. No answer. I glanced toward a small hallway behind the counter, a narrow passage leading to a back office. The door at the end was ajar, just slightly, and it was very, very dark beyond it. I leaned over the counter trying to see if anyone was back there. That's when I heard it. A voice. Software. Barely more than a whisper. "Don't look behind you." I froze. Every hair on my body stood up. Slowly, with my heart hammering against my ribs, I turned my head. The store behind me was empty. Completely, utterly empty. I swallowed hard and forced myself to move one step back, then another. That's when I noticed it. The security monitors behind the counter, 4 grainy black and white screens showing different parts of the gas station, the pumps, the parking lot, the hallway, and the inside of the store. I looked at the monitor showing the interior. There I was, standing at the counter, and behind me, a shadow, a long, thin figure standing impossibly still, right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The store was empty, but on the monitor, the figure was still there, closer now, reaching out. I stumbled backward, almost falling over a rack of candy bars. The lights above flickered wildly, plunging the store into momentary darkness. When they snapped back on, the monitors were blank, every screen dead. I ran. Out the door, across the cracked pavement, back to my car. I yanked the door open and threw myself inside, fumbling to jam the keys into the ignition. The engine sputtered, coughed, caught. I floored it, speeding away from that cursed station, gravel spraying behind me. I didn't look back. I didn't dare. But even now, as I drive into the endless dark, I can feel it, that same presence, patient, persistent, following, waiting, and somewhere, just at the edge of my hearing, a whisper rides the wind. You can't escape. The highway stretched ahead like a thin scar through the dark countryside. No other cars, no streetlights, just me and the endless night. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror. There was nothing there, nothing I could see anyway, but the feeling never left, that pressure at the back of my neck, like unseen eyes drilling into me. I tried turning on the radio just to fill the silence. It sputtered and hissed with static. I flipped through stations, only garbled voices, broken melodies, patches of white noise. Finally, I gave up and turned it off. And then the engine began to sputter. At first it was just a slight hesitation, a stutter in the steady hum. But it got worse. The dashboard lights flickered weakly. The steering wheel trembled under my hands. No, no, no. I pressed harder on the gas pedal. The car responded sluggishly, as if something heavy were dragging it backward. Ahead, I saw a narrow dirt road branching off to the right. A broken wooden sign stood at the turn. I couldn't read it. Too faded. Too old. But I didn't have a choice. I cranked the wheel and turned off the main road, tires crunching over loose gravel. The dirt road wound through thick trees. Branches stretched overhead, knitting together into a tunnel of blackness. The headlights barely cut through the gloom. Somewhere far off in the woods I heard it, a faint rustling, maybe an animal, maybe something else. I kept driving, slower now, watching. The car jerked and coughed, threatening to die at any moment, and that's when I saw it. Through the trees, maybe a quarter mile ahead, the outline of a house, old, sagging, completely dark. No lights, no signs of life. Yet somehow I felt drawn to it, like something pulling me forward. The closer I got, the more details emerged. Rotting wooden steps, shattered windows, a sagging porch that looked ready to collapse. The engine gave one final shudder and died. I coasted the last few yards, gravel crunching under the tires until the car came to a stop. Silence fell, heavy, oppressive. Only the faint whisper of wind through the dead trees. And somewhere the creak of an old weather vane turning slowly in the night. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, trying to think. Should I stay in the car, wait for dawn, or go to the house and try to find a phone? Another whisper, barely audible, slithered through the air. Come inside. I clenched my eyes shut. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I was just tired. But when I opened my eyes, the front door of the house was open, just a crack, waiting for me, inviting me. I stared at it for a long time, and slowly, as if pulled by invisible strings, I reached for the door handle. The car door creaked open. I stepped out into the cold. The gravel crunched softly under my boots. The wind carried a faint scent of damp wood, of decay. Step by step I made my way to the porch. Each plank groaned under my weight. The shadows pressed in around me thick and heavy. I stood at the threshold. The inside of the house was a pit of darkness, deeper than the night outside. From somewhere within, hidden in the blackness, I thought I heard breathing, slow, measured, waiting. I hesitated, but behind me, deep in the woods, something cracked loudly, a branch snapping underfoot. I didn't look back. I couldn't. Instead, I stepped inside, into the waiting dark. Background, soft creaking wood, distant low wind sound. The floorboards groaned under my boots as I stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Old wood, mold, something sour and metallic underneath it all. The door creaked wider behind me, or maybe it was pulled, slowly, gently. Background, soft thud as door closes. The door shut with a soft but final thud. I turned. No handle on this side, only a splintered wall and peeling paint. I was trapped. I held my breath, straining to listen. The house was silent. Too silent. Even the wind outside seemed to have died. I raised my flashlight and swept it across the hallway. Broken furniture, tattered curtains clinging to shattered windows, walls covered in deep gouges like claw marks. The beam caught something, a staircase leading upward, the top of it swallowed by shadows, and a faint sound upstairs, a whisper. Come find me. Background, whisper layered with soft heartbeat sound. I tightened my grip on the flashlight. My boots made soft, unwilling sounds as I moved toward the stairs. Each step protested under my weight, shrieking like something alive. The air grew colder the higher I climbed. Heavy, stale. At the top, the hallway stretched left and right, both directions swallowed by darkness. A door stood slightly ajar to the right. Light, faint, flickering, spilled out around its edges. I moved toward it, drawn like a moth to a flame. Inside was a bedroom, or what had once been one. The walls were stripped bare. The bed was just a broken frame. A cracked mirror hung on the far wall, reflecting the weak beam of my flashlight. But what drew my eye wasn't the mirror. It was the shape standing in front of it. At first, I thought it was my own reflection. Same height, same outline. But then it moved, and I didn't. It tilted its head slowly to the side as if studying me. Background. Faint child's giggle layered under the creaking sound. A soft giggle floated through the room, high and strange, like a child's laughter heard underwater. I stumbled back, heart hammering in my chest. The figure didn't move from the mirror. It just watched. I turned and fled the room, not caring how much noise I made. The hallway twisted and bent in impossible ways now. Doors that hadn't been there before, windows looking out into blackness, endless and empty. The house wasn't just old, it was alive, changing around me. I ran down the hallway past empty doorways, feeling unseen hands brush against me. Whispers grew louder, calling, mocking, inviting. Stay with us. Stay forever. You'll never leave. At the end of the hall, I saw another staircase, but it led downward, deeper into the house's belly. I hesitated, and that's when I heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, coming down the upstairs hallway behind me. Not running, just moving with dreadful, inevitable purpose. I had no choice. I took the stairs 2 at a time, plunging into the darkness below. The air grew colder still, almost painful to breathe. The walls closed in around me, narrow and suffocating. At the bottom, a heavy wooden door waited, old, splintered, covered in strange marks, and carved into the wood, barely visible in the weak light. Turn back. My hand reached for the doorknob anyway. It turned easily under my fingers. The door swung open with a long, low screech. Beyond it, only darkness and the soft, wet sound of something breathing, waiting. I slammed the hood shut and staggered backward until I bumped into the cold metal of my car's door. My eyes never left the figure. It stood there, silent, still, watching. With a trembling hand, I reached behind me, feeling for the door handle. It took longer than it should have. My fingers scraped the metal before they found the latch. I yanked it open and practically fell inside. The door slammed shut. I hit the lock button immediately. A hollow click that sounded far too small for the danger outside. Would a locked door really stop whatever the thing was? I didn't know. I didn't want to find out. I turned, gripping the steering wheel, and tried to pull the car forward. The engine growled. The tires spun. I realized, with a sinking feeling, that the front wheel had slipped into a small ditch at the edge of the road. I was stuck. The car rocked slightly when I pressed harder on the gas, but it didn't move. Background, faint tire spinning sound in gravel. In the mirror, the figure was closer, still distant, but closer. I threw the car into reverse, trying to build some momentum. Nothing. Just the sound of dirt spraying out from under the tires. I cursed under my breath, pounding the steering wheel. Panic itched at the edges of my mind. I switched on the high beams, flooding the field ahead with blinding white light. The figure reacted immediately. Its head jerked to the side, almost like it was in pain. For the first time, I could make out more details. It was human-shaped, but wrong. The clothes hung loosely, shapeless and filthy. The limbs were too thin, too long, the knees bent slightly inward, giving it a hunched, unnatural posture. The skin I could see, around the mouth, around the hands, was pale, cracked, dry, and the eyes, those horrible eyes. They didn't blink, they just glowed, catching the light in a way no human eyes should. Breathing hard, I cracked the window slightly and yelled out, "Hey! What do you want?" No response. The figure remained still. I tried again. "Are you hurt? Do you need help?" Nothing, just the slow rise and fall of its chest. I pulled my head back inside, feeling the cold night air against my sweaty skin. My hands fumbled under the driver's seat until they found it. A tire iron. Not much, but it was better than nothing. I placed it across my lap and tried to breathe slowly, tried to think, tried to calm down. I decided to rock the car back and forth. Reverse, drive, reverse. Maybe I could free it. Each time I looked away, at the road, at the mirrors, at the dashboard, I felt my stomach twist, because each time I glanced back, the figure was closer. At first, it was 30 yards away, then 20, then 10, until finally it stood just outside the edge of my headlights. I could see it more clearly now. Its lower face was tight, mouth closed in a rigid line. The skin stretched unnaturally over sharp bones. It was breathing faster now. I could see the quick rise and fall of its chest, but I couldn't hear a sound from it. No footsteps, no rustling of clothes, no breathing, nothing. I slammed the gas pedal harder. The engine revved. The car rocked violently, but it didn't move. I was still stuck. Sweat trickled down my forehead. My legs felt stiff, my arms weak. The figure twitched. One long, thin hand flexed slowly in the pale light. I had to do something, fast. I leaned across to the passenger seat, flung open the glove box. Inside, a small folding knife, a flashlight, some spare fuses. I grabbed the knife and slipped it into my pocket. It was laughable, really, a tiny blade against whatever this was, but it was all I had. If I stayed in the car, I was a sitting duck. If I got out, I risked losing sight of it, and every time I looked away, it moved. Closer, always closer. Maybe if I could reverse a little more, maybe I could spin the car around and tear down the road, ditch or no ditch. I put the car in reverse again, pressed the gas. The tires spun, screamed against the gravel. The engine whined in protest. The figure took a step forward. This time I saw it. It moved when I moved. It was waiting for me to be desperate, waiting for me to slip, to run, to fall. I didn't know if it would wait much longer. It didn't move yet, but it could any second. My whole body screamed, "Run!" I tightened my grip on the wheel, pressed the gas, reverse. The tires shrieked. The car lurched backward just a few feet, but it was enough. Hope flared. I slammed it into drive and hit the gas. The car jumped forward, and then snap! Something broke. The steering wheel twisted wildly, the engine coughed, and died. Headlights flickered, dimmed. The figure was gone. Gone. I froze, heart hammering. Silence, except for the ticking of the engine. I grabbed the flashlight, fumbled it on, and swept the field. Nothing. Dry grass, broken fence, empty night. Then tap, tap, tap. Behind me, I turned, and there it was, pressed against the rear windshield, grinning, eyes wide, teeth bared too wide, too wrong. Its breath fogged the glass. Real, real. It lifted one twisted finger, pointed at me. I gripped the tire iron in my lap. I had two choices, stay or run. I counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I threw the door open and ran. The cold punched me. The night swallowed me. I didn't look back. Branches tore at me. Weeds grabbed my legs, but I ran. Behind me, I heard it. Not footsteps. Something dragging. Closer, closer. Ahead, a broken fence. Beyond it, darkness. No houses, no lights, just empty fields. I dove through the fence, hit the ground hard, scrambled up. No time to stop, no time to think. The dragging sound grew louder. I flicked the flashlight on. The beam swung wildly. And there it was, waiting, smiling, arms outstretched, the last thing I saw before the light went out. Dear listeners, I hope you enjoyed the story. Please subscribe, like, and share.